My progress in reading home medical manuals / books started in the 1990s. Today is Tuesday, 8 April 2025. And here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, talk about my progress in reading home medical manuals / books from when I started in the 1990s, showing 2 of the manuals / books. So this one, the American Medical Association Family Medicine Guide, initially, I think, per the front of the book, 1982 published. And the Merck Manual of Medical Information Home Edition was initially published in 1997. So somebody saying they started reading these books, plural, in the 1980s would be lying, because this wasn't out until 1997. And these are 2 that I have referred to for multiple decades. And it's been a journey in reading. I was not the best reader early in life, and these were we had them, and there's notes in here from different family diagnoses from going to the doctor or trying to figure stuff out and stuff like that, or what could be going on, even if that's not what is going on. And so when I was really young, I'd read pick this up and I'd be like, my mom would be talking about her reading from it and stuff, and I would look at them and be like, I couldn't read the small text. I was really small, and I could I could see the visuals, but that doesn't necessarily mean I could understand them. And I like the chronic infection of the middle ear, right? I was depending on my vocabulary. So I was born approximately 1993. The word was something I knew or I didn't. And then as I grew up, I could read more, and would refer to it like I got diagnosed with asthma, and so this is one of the places we came to learn more about my asthma, which was correlated with weather and sports activity. I was competed in multiple sports. And then I've referred here with just kind of when my grandparents, my grandfather was diagnosed with diabetes. I came here and read more about that. Just different conditions over the years, and then just learning about if they take measurements at the doctor, reading about blood pressure. When I studied abroad in South Africa, I had to get some vaccines, and there were some viruses such as yellow fever where it was more of, you don't have to get the vaccine now, but if you do go to a yellow fever area, you might have to get a vaccine in South Africa, which I did end up doing, to be able to travel. And then I've used it in the 2010s decade. I came back to it, and I say there's been the progression of, I started off and I could read some of the big words put together, but not necessarily the meaning, and then the visuals, and then I could actually read the text, but that doesn't mean I knew what the word was. And then some of it I'd be I could read it, but I couldn't necessarily understand it. And then the 2010s decade, a lot had happened in my life, and I had been through a lot and that kind of stuff, and so did my family. And so I read it and I was like, wow, I understand way more. And then going back through now and reading about the diabetes miracle diagnosis kind of thing and stuff like that, and being wow, I understand way more now. So it's perhaps the best 2 books for documenting just my own abilities of reading and how they've transformed. Having more technical texts are great for that, for myself. And I loved animals growing up, play animal in preschool and stuff. I could play veterinarian, and so this was great. I was like, I should read this instead of veterinarian books so I don't accidentally hurt the animals or something like that. So it was an intentional separation there of just this reading technical stuff, or more technical stuff for fun, than just an informative something. And I was so my mom and her condition might go with expressing herself through being a choir member, and my dad, a miracle diagnosis, I've mentioned shedding miracle pounds and being a deacon, and I was well, what could that go with? And there's diabetes, but I was but I don't think he has the low blood sugar problems I have. And I was was there something else? And so I was reading here, and I read up on depression, and depression is a pretty serious condition, and it can come with kind of negativity and kind of not being able to see the not silver lining, but positive takeaways is a phrase I use. And So I read about depression recently, just in like April 2025, and the diabetes stuff back in March and now in April and that kind of stuff. So March/April 2025 readings. I have been reading these books. And so I read in depression, I think in one of these books they said it could be caused by like a stroke, and he didn't have a stroke. He had something that they classified as a stroke that wasn't a stroke, kind of thing. But it was like, it can come with weight loss. So I'm like, if we're invoking miracle weight loss, right, as part of the diagnosis for him, it's like it has that. It has. I was like, is there anything? So it says about 15%, so maybe about 1 in 7 people in society actually get diagnosed with depression. And then I think in this one, and then the other one, or this one, they talk about like what a person might go through, like if they get it, they might have it like 4 or 5 times in their life. And so weight loss is a good one, right? For an indicator if you're actually depressed, like clinically. And so it was like, it talks about mania might help bring a person out of depression, which is like an elated behavior. And I was like, I can think of only one instance in my life where we were at like a church one time, and church service started at 9 and he was still talking, and it was like 12:30 or something. And I was like, if we count, and they say mania is like a surge of energy or something like that. And I was like, does talking count? Because he can be quite the talker. So he gets himself out of the depression through talking. Right? There were 2 things that didn't quite fit though. Delusions or false beliefs or hallucinations, which is seeing or hearing things that aren't there. It's like, those aren't quite him. Delusions, false beliefs, and hallucinations might be more along the lines of my sister and her husband, each apart and together. Like with my YouTube videos, they asked me to remove because they were in them and they weren't. So that was hallucination on both my sister and her brother-in-law. And then false belief that they were the owner of my YouTube channel. In reality, that's me and my email address. And so they were delusional on thinking that I would actually respond to them, and they were delusional on thinking the videos were about them, that kind of stuff, and it wasn't. So I was like, watch him, my sister's husband, at least currently, be a paranoid schizophrenic, right? He only acted out when he misinterpreted it, deluded thought, and hallucinations of them being in the video when they weren't, he kind of acted out, and her get a stroke. The false belief that I love her when I don't, I just say it and she eats it up, right? She's like, don't say anything to me, bitches, unless it's positive. So, and she gets a stroke to one up my dad, and he had a stroke that wasn't a stroke. It'd be very them. And they both have molested me touched me without my consent in my life. My sister started in the 1990s. And even took a picture. She barged in on me when I was in the bathroom one time, took a picture of me, and I was naked and I had a towel. So it was child pornography, which I did not consent to. Still waiting for those to go to trial, both of them molesting me. And then let us see what, and here's a little more. When he texts, and he loves me, my sister's husband, and has showed it sexually that he wants me because 2 days after I proposed to my Leon, he got my sister pregnant. And then when he texted me asking me to remove multiple things on Christmas Day, 2024, I was in bed, half naked, masturbating for my Leon. Yes, he was like, don't choose your Leon. I'm attacking your Frenchman. You should choose this German man instead. I was like, fire! Fire! Stop molesting me virtually. So anyway, my progress in reading home medical manuals / books started in the 1990s. Got a sister and her husband, both delusional, hallucinating individuals. Whoa.